Here we go. Here we go. Another day. Another dollar gone today because the market's red. But there are a lot of reasons for that today. Oh my goodness gracious. Have y'all seen the Tuesdays? Oh boy, we are back at 70. I don't know, everything chilled out there for a hot minute and then went dirty again. Part of that has to do with the Japanese bond market sell-off. And the rest of it has to do with, no Supreme Court decision yet. Still waiting about the potential that we get the IEEPA tariffs deemed illegal, which I think will be bullish in a longer term, of course. And then, of course, fears around geopolitics, Iran, Greenland, Venezuela. But, if we look at that 210 spread today, it is up to 69 basis points. Almost, it was at 70 a little bit ago. And all of that almost is because of the 10-year Treasury. The 10-year Treasury is now at 4.27, which is remarkably high. And if I look at the 2-year Treasury, it's not even moving. It's going down. It's going in the opposite direction. So you've got a little bit more shock entering the market today. We did a little bit of analysis on Amgen this morning in the stock, the course member alpha report. Great analysis, by the way. I think we did a great job on it. I encourage you to watch it or read about it if you haven't yet. But taking a look at the market here broadly, we've got NVIDIA decided to just sort of bleed out of the open, while at the same time, AMD is actually breaking out. Now, this is a really important line for AMD, which suggests that AMD could be heading towards 250 pretty rapidly. Because AMD has been relatively stuck at 232 for a while. We've continuously rejected here, and this is on the week chart. If you go to the day chart, it becomes a little bit more evident. But in my opinion, this is a pretty big line here. It's been a support in the past. It's been a resistance in the past. So I think this is going to be quite fascinating. We'll watch this. Of course, you're getting a recovery continuing on Google, which is nice. Microsoft still sideways. Apple looks like it's finally hitting a floor. Meta is breaking out 607, or I should say recovering. And the Qs are mostly sideways intraday here. This morning we were down 2%. Usually when the market is down 2%, it doesn't stay down 2%. You get some form of a recovery. Talked about that in the alpha report as well. And we're pretty excited broadly about the catalysts that are ahead for America. As long as we don't have some kind of, large and sudden catastrophe where you induce layoffs, I'm really not horribly concerned about the market in the longer term, which is good. We're at about a 5.9 on the bear bull scale, which is leaning more bullish than even neutral at the moment, but slightly. Then we've got. We'll go cover some of the news of the day, of course, but Japan being a big one. So we'll dive into what the suits are saying about that. Let's jump in right away. In Japan, they've been trying to generate inflation for a while. And what's remarkable about that is as they've been trying to generate inflation, they've, surprise, surprise, been achieving it. So turns out when you print money, you can generate inflation, which is exactly what Japan wanted, the Bank of Japan. Looks like I got to log in again. All right. I don't know why I logged me out, but that's all right. What do I need a special offer for? Whatever. We'll jump over to the Wall Street Journal in the meantime then. Okay, good. So we've got Europe contends with a new threat, the U.S. Yeah, a lot of drama around Greenland. This announcement was announced really after the market closed on Friday. I think they sort of did that on purpose. They strategically don't want to see the market tank immediately when Trump makes some kind of announcement. So, not the biggest surprise. Okay, let's go see the notes on Japan. I really want to start there, but for some reason they keep wanting to pitch there. Oh, there we go. Special offer. All right, here we go. For weeks, markets have been unusually subdued at the start of the year. Well, really since Christmas, the Qs have been really up against resistance. I've noticed that, the Qs started behaving weird right around Christmas. And all of a sudden, you've really seen more sensitivity to rejecting some of those lines that we've usually been able to break through. Scott here says, I work in agriculture and it's unreasonably slow because of tariffs. This is more serious than people may think. When you don't build bins to store grain, the next year's price of commodities is going to be higher. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a great point. So, there's no doubt that tariffs at some point cause inflation. There's really zero doubt of that. All right, what else do we have here? So, Sell America trade came back in full force. Scale of the move shows investors' willingness to shrug off shocks at the center of anxiety. Blah, blah, blah. Trump, NATO. Base case. The severity will ultimately still be contained. That's the hope. Bitcoin obviously briefly broke under $90,000 there. And, Greer is now saying that tariffs are appropriate for addressing the Greenland issue. Well, because they're going to wrap everything under national security, right? Which actually, if you think about it, you know why Greenland has gotten revived. 4D chess. How interesting, the timing of this. Think about this. Watch this. All right, ready for this? This is Jaded Me. Jaded Kevin on tariffs. As Trump realizes, he's likely to lose IEEPA tariffs. He rapidly... Hold on, I'm going to say goodbye to the kiddos really quick. Give me 1 sec. I hear him tugging on my door. 1 sec. Yeah. Hey, check. Thanks. All right. Sorry about that. All right, I'm back. Oh, there's a lot of screaming going on out there. As Trump realizes he's likely to lose IEEPA tariffs, he rapidly thinks about other tariff options. Okay, well, what's another tariff option? Well, another tariff option would be Section 232, right? Section 232 equals national security-based tariffs. So what all of a sudden becomes a concern? All of a sudden, as Trump starts realizing he's going to lose IEEPA tariffs, what happens? We want Greenland all of a sudden revived from the dead, right? The idea is revived from the dead. We think about striking Iran. And we abduct a president or a dictator, I should say. Let's call it what it is, right? So all of a sudden, like, no matter how you look at it, arguing for national security, all of a sudden makes a bit more sense in that context, right? So Greer is saying fair game to use 232 tariffs because of Greenland. Maybe, bye, Jack. Thank you. maybe they don't actually want Greenland. They just need a reason to keep tariffs up, right? Kind of crazy. It's an idea. Obviously, plenty of reasons to go for Greenland, but it's just coincidental, you know. Maybe just a coincidence, we'll say, that it all happens to be around that same time, right? So maybe just a coincidence. Oh yeah. Maybe they just really don't want to talk about the Epstein file. You got to throw that in. That's actually funny. I like that. But yeah, that actually all seems to kind of align a little bit more there, doesn't it? Anyway, and again, maybe it's just a coincidence, but whatever. All right. With European leaders now grappling how to push back against Trump, some have speculated more market turbulence is exactly what they need. Yeah, Trump hates it when the market goes down. If I were an advisor to some European governments, I'd say you almost need to create a little bit of market volatility because Trump cares about that a lot. Yeah, dude, if the market tanks, Trump freaks out because he sees that as like the daily barometer of his success. He's also like 1/5 crypto or whatever, right? So, you know, I would make the argument that Trump is allergic to the market going down. So Trump is allergic to the market falling. And he's also now, let me see here. What was his net worth compared to Bitcoin? Bookmarks. It was, oh man, did I not bookmark it? It should come up. What? Well, I saw it somewhere. Let me check one more place here. Let's see. All right, Trump crypto net worth. Nope. Spelling net worth. Ah, there it is. $6.8 billion. So close. Bloomberg reports Trump net worth is 6.8 billion. Now 1/5 crypto. Wow. That's crazy. Family generated about 1.4 billion from crypto projects. So, generated 1.4 billion from crypto projects. Right. You mean crypto rug pulls. Projects, rugs. They should just call it what it is. And Trump media has been falling, though. Ah, okay. This is all. There's also an interesting like chart breakdown of some of his wealth. I want to show those. Let's see if I can screenshot that, beam that over. Let's see here. Window. Okay, so real estate assets account for less than half of his net worth now, down from 79% in 2023. Oh, that's also interesting. Okay. Let's see if we can beam that in here. So I think you'll like to see the chart too. If it would load. There we go. One. too. So it looks like World Liberty Financial, which in my opinion, IMO, World Liberty Financial, is a big scam, and they're using things like Alt 5 to get exit liquidity for WLF shareholders. That's my opinion. And apparently that's $1 billion of their net worth. Trump Media. What's the difference? Is this a change over time? Yeah, this is a change over time over here. Yeah, that's grown. World Liberty Financial's grown. Trump Media's lost a bit. Real estate is now less than half of his net worth. That's interesting. Trump now less than 50% real estate and 20% crypto. 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 79% real estate. Huh. Yeah, almost all real estate over here. But their net worth was $3.5 billion in November of 2023. So I should say November 2023. Half the net worth at $3.5 billion. So really, the Trump media and crypto created that other half. Trump media and crypto created the other half. All right. Interesting. Okie dokie then. Let's see here. Save that. Okay, cool. So what else? Let's take a peek. Q's recovering nicely. See, here's that. The Supreme Court, I think this is when the Supreme Court didn't rule. So it's actually interesting. You could see that the market gets nervous about that potential Supreme Court ruling. Let me see when that was. Supreme Court, 32 minutes ago. No, it was before that, because 32 minutes ago would have been like 7:08 right here. Oh, okay. No, there was a little bit of a lag there. All right. Where's Japan? Here we go. Japan's bond yields are also heightening investor worries. Yields on their 40-year top 4%. Yields on the 10-year jump 4.29%. Widespread view amongst investors is that the US and Europe will reach a diplomatic solution on Greenland. Oh, that's all they're going to say about Japan? I guess so. Yeah, all right. Okay. So Greenland, let's see. Danish fund, wrong to sell US treasuries. Oh, okay, yeah, some of them are trying to dump. That wouldn't surprise me that you've got some Europeans, again, trying to generate that, like what we saw here, where they said, was it this person? Impact will be very severe if this goes off the rails, including for the dollar. Right, but where was the... Yeah, here. If an advisor to Trump, there you go. This person saying that. So it's almost like the Europeans are conspiring to F up the market. I mean, I get it. They don't want to deal with this crap either, or the tariffs. Europeans conspiring. to drop stocks. I mean, it's just one guy making the comment, but it wouldn't surprise me because it also somewhat aligns with this Danish fund article. Danish fund article is here. Danish pension fund plans to exit U.S. treasuries. That's interesting. I wonder how much value they have. Let's go find out. Treasury holdings. So they hold $25 billion under management for teachers, about $100 million in treasuries. Aha. There it is. We decided that we could find alternatives to that. That's interesting. You know, that sort of goes along with this sort of like sell America idea by the Europeans. So, which I'm a big Train America fan, but I get it right now with some of the stuff going on. It's not very consistent. So this would be Danish pension fund dumping treasuries. And that's this. There we go. All right. What else? So, Greenland rift makes NATO vulnerable to Russia. Yes. I mean, this is also true. Like, if you don't have NATO, you do end up creating more Russia risks. The rift between the US and Europe over Greenland is making transatlantic vulnerable to a Russian attack on NATO. Well, I'll certainly get the Europeans to print more weapons, spend more on defense, that's for sure. Condemn the insistence to acquire Greenland. All right. Kind of generic. We already know that. Let's go see what the info has for us. Take a look at this on layoffs. Meta cut its Reality Labs division in the past week, where it let go 10% of the unit. First of another wave of layoffs this year, but that doesn't mean big workforces are going to shrink much at all. If history is any guide, future layoffs will only result in temporary reductions in workforces before employee numbers start growing again. Yeah, I believe that. That's actually also bullish the labor market. Meta laid off at least 25,000 people over the past 3 years. Layoff shrank the workforce from 87,000 to 66,000. Since then, its workforce has risen to 78,000. They just hire them right back. Alphabet is also almost back to its peak. It's actually bullish the labor market if you think about it. Amazon, Microsoft, 228,000 in Microsoft. So many people. Wow. It had just 163,000 employees in mid-2020. It's just exploded, these companies in size. More than offsetting their job cuts with hiring. AI-related investments are driving much of the hiring. Huh. Google said it was hiring several times. AI could eventually have the opposite effect, but doesn't look like yet. Huh. Very interesting. It's a good. I think it's a good point here. You get these dips, and they just come right back. You know, a little bit of post-COVID flattening or readjusting, I guess. All right. Let's see here. Why AI startups? Fixation on cracked engineers. Okay. Netflix. Tech at Davos. Netflix and Intel earnings coming out this week. OpenAI's first hardware slated to appear this year. Oh, and I want to see that Gemini piece too. Artificial intelligence will displace so many jobs that it will eliminate the need for mass migration, according to Palantir. Huh. I want to see that too. Let's see here. Bloomberg, Palantir, mass migration. Yeah, there it is. Artificial intelligence will displace so many jobs that will eliminate the need for mass migration. I think he's a little too bullish on the strength of AI replacing a ton of jobs right now. There will be more than enough jobs for citizens of your nation, especially those with vocational training. Well, I do believe that on the vocational part. Let's see. Vocational workers will be more valuable, if not irreplaceable. Yeah. Palantir has long been supplied services to ICE, enabling officials to build dossiers on individuals. Also has defense tie-ups with the government around the world and growing enterprise business. The company was co-founded by Karp and Thiel, early advisor of Trump during his first admin. Yeah. All right. Go back to the info here. This is the OpenAI device. Lutnick now complaining that interest rates are too high. Well, your guys' behavior keeps driving interest rates up even more. So, like, what are you complaining about? Okay. What's this? Let's see. Later in the latter half of 2026, so before the holiday season, on track to show a product later in the year. Collaboration between the company and Johnny Ive. Well, that should be really cool. I'm kind of excited about that. No comment on what it will be. I think there are some patents or whatever that they're looking for, almost like AI embedded, like AirPods, something like that. I guess we'll see. All right, what do we got here? Google Gemini saw a doubling in developer demand during a 5-month period last year. Wow. August, 85 billion requests from developers, up from 35 in March for API calls. Wow. That's great. Growing demand will lift the revenues over there. Sure. I mean, yeah. search and subscriptions and that obviously still a big component, but seeing growth here would be fantastic for Google. What? The president will get a third term even without defying the Constitution? Trumpism will shadow the next president, even if it's a Democrat. Oh, that's an interesting article. Let's see here. Trump has been a dominant figure will have been a dominant figure by the end of 2029 for 14 years. Wow. The reach of Trump's policies will dominate the campaign of his first successor. And perhaps more so if that's a Democrat than a Republican. In that sense, Trump is getting a third term, even if he doesn't actually flaunt the Constitution. Some Democrats will lean into the restoration of post-Trump normality. Democrats and many others really trust vandalism means that day one for president will have backward-looking glaze. Right. Is everybody going to spend their first term in office post-Trump just talking about how they're going to do things differently from Trump? I think that's the argument here. Trump's personality and actions are so incendiary, and the political culture he's presided over is so infected, it's hard to imagine the customary way of ending a historical moment or movement by partially co-opting it. All right. I get it. It's an interesting point. Kamala in La La Land? I don't know why that sounds funny. Kamala Harris landed in LA, Jan 2025, after flying from Washington. She had a country that recently rejected her, right, because she just lost the election. She said we remain a vocal leader for the nation that had lost its way. It was not in her nature, she said, to go quietly. And instead, she's almost entirely disappeared. Yes. First half of 2025, cloisters in a high-security Brentwood mansion that became her home a decade earlier. Okay. Few public appearances, turned down the California governorship. People thought she might fade away. Now as she begins her first full year outside the government in more than 3 decades, Harris is finally delivering on the promise she made when she departed. In the past few weeks, she's addressed the DNC, weighed in on Trump's intervention. Her political voice is suddenly returning. Oh, the return of Harris. She's waking up. She just needed a year off. She just needed a gap year, bro. All right. What else? Macron calls the tariff threat unacceptable. Donald Trump loves the tariffs. You gotta love the tariffs. 10-2. Okay, it's chilling back down a little bit. Now down at 68, so that's not so bad. No great blow. An escalated trade war would be another matter, however. Let's see what this is. All right, let's see here. The dollar. Okay, so not again. Europeans are no longer shocked by the threat of tariffs. Right, we've been through that before. Currently, EU exports to America incur a 15% tax, Britain at 10%. An additional 10% has now been threatened. That's because of the Greenland tariffs. Right. I guess I can't highlight here. Okay. Quick analysis finds that 10% Greenland's tariffs would shave 0.04% from EU's output, 0.02% from America's. Well, that's actually a relatively small impact. I mean, even if your GDP is 1%, 0.04%, is pretty low. I guess I can't highlight anything. Hardly a recession. Exactly. This is interesting. I think we should write that down because it just suggests it's not that big of a deal, even if those tariffs hit. So, economist on impact of tariffs on Greenland. Besson is already starting the taco, I guess. Besson is now saying, everybody take a deep breath, do not escalate. That's funny. Trump has a strategy. Okay. So here we have the Kiel Institute. American importers and consumers absorb 96% of tariffs. American importers and consumers absorb 96% of tariffs. Goldman was at like 80 something percent. Goldman was over 80% American importers, consumers. And then they think that 10% Greenland tariffs would shave, 10% additional tariffs. Tariffs due to Greenland tariffs might reduce GDP in the US, Europe by, we've got negative 0.02% US and negative 0.04% EU, which is nothing. That's really low. Subsectors are more exposed than others. And then they just get into certain topics. Vehicles, boats, planes, picture is similar. Healthcare firms. Healthcare firms are most exposed. Interesting. I'll make a note of that. Healthcare firms most exposed. All right. Digital services sector would be largely uncharted territory for a trade dispute. Financial firms' access to European markets could also be curbed. America has ample means to respond, export controls, blah, blah, blah. These are just things that they could do. All right, that's not that big of a deal either. Okay. Hey, it's almost my birthday. You can join join that Meet Kevin Alpha report or the ReInvestAI. Actually, the strategy is you join the Meet Kevin Alpha report, and then you use the course member code and bundle up for the ReInvestAI. Just do that before the birthday. MeetKevin.com and HouseHack.com. The dollar has been the world's primary reserve currency for a century, but as alliances and institutions that underpin dominance wither, the currency could maybe lose its position. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is just speculation on de-dollarization. All right. I mean, we've seen stuff. Oh, this is an event that's happening later today. Whatever. Okay. That was interesting on layoffs. We saw Gemini surging. That's cool. WAPO. Proposed Homeland Security rule could empty U.S. stadium seats? What does that even mean? Asking visitors from allied countries to submit social media data could curb World Cup tourism. Oh, interesting. What do you mean? Like what accounts you have and stuff? So Palantir can go scrape them? A new DHS security rule. Agency information collection activities. Request for comment. So this is in request for comment. So summary. We'll be submitting information requests. Where is the social media thing? Social. There we go. Mandatory social media. Social media to data element for an ESTA application. You have to provide their social media from the last 5 years. So you just provide your accounts that you've used in the last 5 years? I think that's what they're saying. Dramatically expand the personal social media information required from travelers. Phone numbers and addresses were more concerning would be, 5-year history for social media. Meta, TikTok spent billions to distinguish harmful content from benign speech. Right. So if you're on, like, if you're coming from Germany or whatever to go visit America and you're like, man, Trump's a dumbass or whatever. Satire and humor is harder to parse. It's interesting. Okay. Let's see here. Why is Ivanka trending? Because she tries to stay out of this stuff. Ivanka. I don't see anything particular. Oh, something about some outfit she was wearing or whatever. Oh, I guess she was at some game or whatever last night. Some huge glasses. All right, anyway. Don't really care. Okay, we saw that on Palantir. Interesting on WAPO. So, going back to this, Tom from MySpace says, I feel like they have the info even if you don't give it. Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like they already know this. This is just to impute into Palantir to put more of a web together, I guess, huh? Yeah, I did see that on Trump flipping off the Ford worker. And then the Ford worker got suspended for heckling him. He probably got fired. But, Ford has to do everything they can to suck up to Trump. Trump is doing a lot to protect the American car industry, which I actually think keeps cars a lot more expensive. I think we should all be driving. Ooh, wait a sec. I think we should all be driving Chinese cars, frankly. Like even Chinese-made Teslas. I just think we'd all save so much money. Hold on, this is interesting. Erica York. Tax Foundation just released something. I'm going to see this. Trump administration's post-SCOTUS tariff strategy. Section 122, then 232, then 301. What's section 122? Grants the president authority to impose temporary tariffs to address large and serious, interesting deficits. But it's temporary. That would buy him time to get to that. The others that take 180 days. Interesting. Take a look at this. Beige Book. Okay. AIPA. A big hint about the president's tariff strategy. Immediately replace AIPA with 122. allows temporary tariffs for 150 days of up to 15%. Section 122 needs congressional authority to keep going. So that's not going to happen in midterms. Correct. That's unlikely. Instead, then we'll see a bunch of 232, which that's national security, which remember, this is like the Greenland part. And then 301, I don't know if we've used 301 in a long time. This is unfair trade practices. Oh, that's 301. Okay. Yeah, we'll use that. Hassett suggested 10% tariff on goods that now face IEEPA could raise up to $36 billion direct tariff payments. 15% on the same goods could raise up to, okay, this is just an estimate of how much they could raise. That suggests that the president could raise between 56 to 73% of the IEEPA tariffs. So it would still be a reduction, right? Is Chinese better than Toyota? I don't know. I think actually Toyota is a very good brand. Like, whether it's a Camry or a RAV4, a Corolla if you're starting out or whatever, or just don't want to spend a lot on a car, which is totally respectable. I think Toyota makes fantastic cars. The Prius, less popular now, but because you can get like a hybrid RAV4 instead. It gives you a little bit more room. I'm a huge Toyota fan. But I think that Chinese vehicles will eventually have that reputation that that Japanese vehicles do. But I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. That's just my prediction. So, Tax Foundation, we finalized our tariff revenue estimates for 2025. We probably netted $132 billion from tariffs. That's basically like just a tax on the American consumer, right? I forgot to bring my little compost bucket for my tea. I'm running my composter again. So kind of cool. The boys like it. A little moss garden growing. Okay, so gotta feed them yummy food. All right. While revenue forecasting is inherently tricky, I'm pleased with how the forecast lined up with actual data. Imports on Canada and Mexico were the hardest to calculate. Oh, they actually had a pretty good estimate, honestly. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, that's pretty good. Treasury Department reports the federal government collected $286 billion in custom duties, right? But then you have to, figure how much of those are from just tariffs. Wow, look at that. And again, I mean, I believe that the vast majority of this is really just a tax on the consumer. Obviously not 100% of it, but I would say a lot of it. Somebody writes, it pains me how little sports Kevin watches. Yeah. I don't watch sports. I know. It pains me too. I wish I did. I know nothing about sports. So like somebody asked me like, "Oh, let's watch the paintball game." And my response is let's go play paintball. So Federal Reserve Beige Book. Firms are grappling with how to respond to tariffs. Okay. Tom says, I watch women's topless soccer. I didn't know you could watch that. That's funny. Yeah. Firms. Everything college football. How could you be a man and not be a sports guy? Are you identifying my gender? Manufacturing across several districts cited tariffs as a continued challenge. Or they affected food prices, blah, 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 blah. Am I even logged into this? Great job. Nope. Bio. Please enter a longer name. Do we care about this? I don't care about this. Whatever. All right. That's interesting. So I like to see that. Detail, that is. So now, oh yeah, look at that. We're still trimming some of those losses. That AMD breakout is very impressive. We were talking about this morning in the alpha, that this is a critical line. And as we were doing our fundamental research, we looked at this line, we go, oh, this is bullish. We're about to break through. Sure enough, we did. Really nice. The question is, can we hold going into the close? That, I think, is the biggest question. Target, Six Flags, Dave & Buster's, $20. They've been really popping off here lately. Look at that. From $13 in November, it's almost a double. Well, okay, not quite a double, but still impressive recovery. MP Materials back at $70. Also, nice pop off that 50 level. Yeah, it basically got saved by the 200-day moving average. Perfect bounce on the 200-day moving average, because I thought it was going to end up going even lower than this. So nice save. Okay, good. So let's see here. What else have we? Okay, that was the social media piece on collecting social media information. Amazon CEO says tariffs are driving up prices. Well, duh. We know that. Trump heads to Davos more aggressive than ever. There's no going back after Trump's Greenland tariff threats. Young Trump voters drive a sharp cultural turn. What is this? America needs more masculinity. Young voters, 49%. U.S. average, 26%. Trump needs to urgently fix America, even if it means ignoring the Supreme Court. Wow. 48% younger. It is more rebellious for a young person to be religious than atheist. 43%. U.S. should bring more religion into government and public life. 40%. The younger voters leaning up on all of these. In a relationship, the man should lead and the woman should follow. 11% nationwide. 26% for younger Trump voters. So this one actually got sort of, most people disagree with that. Violence is sometimes needed to advance political causes. Nick Fuentes is the public figure I agree with most about. Only 6%. Like, but in other words, no. Some races are naturally inferior to others. Oh, wow. 15%. Gen Z and millennial voters who back Trump are emerging as an increasingly hardline faction within his coalition. Yeah, I guess most people disagree with all of it. I mean, that's true. But I guess what they're trying to do is they're purposely trying to ask extreme questions to see if there's a difference between the younger and the older Trump voters. Nick Fuentes of Fed. Well, probably. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the, like, after Joe Rogan helped Trump win, I think there's so much money flowing into political influencers that, you know, you could probably just buy these people out and get them to pitch whatever narrative you want, which is scary because, you know, you're going to get these echo chambers. There we go. Yeah, that's a wild chart. Okay, what else? Let's go see. What does the FT got for us? Dollar sharps. Okay, what else? Treasuries. Treasuries could be Europe's best defiance for Greenland. Well, I mean, the 10-year treasury is popping off. AI boom could falter. Uh-oh. So treasuries could be their best defense of Greenland. Those are some crazy foundations. Man, those look like little rust 2x2s. Wow. I've ever seen a 2x2, like a rust 2x2 on a hillside. Rust 2x2 on a hill. You know, like, see if I could get an image of one. No, there aren't any good pictures. Rust 2x2 stone. Yeah, like a big foundation one, you know, one that's like on a slope. On rock. Maybe we could get like a rock base, you know? Rust rock base. Oh, now Google doesn't want me. Oh, there we go. No good examples. But he really looks like that. Yeah, this is kind of the direction I'm going for. But where just you have these like massive foundations. See what I mean? Like, here's your massive foundation, and then you have the house on top, right? And so let's see here. I guess I can't. Here we go. Okay. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't really see a difference. You know, if I crop this down. Oh my gosh. There we go. Ah! You know? The left one just needs a paint job. You know, that's an easy base to raid right there. All right. Let's focus. Let's see here. U.S. Bassett made it clear the administration wants to lower long-term rates. Right, yeah, we know that, especially with them trying to buy mortgage-backed securities. Treasury Department has already taken a number of steps to try to help. Right. Aha, here. Germany owned $2.8 billion in tariffs. More than 30% of the total treasury market, foreign-held treasuries. Wow. Yeah, they could just dump all of those and skyrocket treasuries. Pull back from treasury exposure. Wow. Pushing up long-term yields, creating contagion across other U.S. markets. This is the first time I'm actually seeing this sort of like sabotage talk. Game theory says Russia and China would turn the other cheek to the EU. Yeah, of course. Because let Trump fight with them. Like, what is it? What, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. You're screwing up your friends over here. So Russia and China should be loving this. All right, here's Satya. AI risks becoming a speculative bubble unless its use spreads beyond big tech companies and wealthy economies. Uh-huh. All right. Nadella said that long-term success of fast-developing technology would depend on it being used outside of a broad range of industries. How would I go about calculating the liquidation for MicroStrategy? No, yeah, I can help you. Okay, so somebody donated $10 to ask me, hey, how do you know when MicroStrategy would have a liquidation crisis? Probably the end of the decade. It's not going to be anytime soon. But the way you would do that is you'd go to MicroStrategy, Investor Relations. You're going to go to, we're going to try to find the 10. Ooh, I gotta find annual report here. So find an annual report, and then you need to find their debt. So this is 199 pages long, but somewhere in here, they're going to have a schedule of debt. Revs, cost of revs. Here. There you go. Okay. So here's your you can take a screenshot of it. Here, I'll get myself out of the way. Right? This is when their notes convert, and then you'd have to look up what the conversion price of all of these is, and then you'd have to assume that if they can't convert because the stock has fallen, then they have to sell stock to pay this debt back, but they'd have to sell a fortune of stock to pay all that back. So that's the problem. So it would take a combination of Bitcoin going down, MicroStrategy stock going down, and the convertibles not converting and coming due, right? So that's why these due dates matter. Anyway, there's the not financial advice $10 response to your question. Oh, look at Oracle. Full reject at 200, huh? Over the last few days as well. Wow. Yeah, it's not holding up so far. Seems to be Bitcoin price would have to be below 50K for 7 years straight. No, I don't think that it's a matter of Bitcoin's price being down for 7 years straight, right? I think it's a matter of everything hits the fan at the same time, right? So like, let's say you have a recession in 2028. I'm just making up a number, right? That then coincides with debt coming due and the stock price collapsing. Then they have to liquidate stock. And then the next year you have more debt coming due, and then they have to liquidate more, but the market knows they have to liquidate more next year, so the stock stays compressed, even if Bitcoin tries to stage a recovery, right? I don't know if that helps. That's obviously, it's not the easiest thing, because it just relies on so much going wrong. For this not to be a bubble by definition, it requires that the benefits of this are much more evenly spread. He noted that the telltale sign of a bubble would be if only tech groups were benefiting from the rise of AI rather than other sectors. He said he was confident it would prove transformative, such as helping develop drugs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Fine. What else? That was the Greenland piece. Trump text messages reveal his feelings on getting denied. Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus. Oh, hold on. I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace. Well, if I don't get the Nobel Peace Prize, I'm going to go start wars. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, Trump responds pretty fast, actually. Look at that. Probably took him like 10 minutes to write. That's kind of hilarious. Hold on a sec. Hitting the wrong buttons here. I don't even use this computer for this. Oh gosh, now it's trying to install crap. There we go. Anyway. There we go. Okay. That's wild. So, what else? Okay. Trump's first year could have lasting economic consequences. Well, yeah, I mean, mostly the tariffs. Let's see what their bottom line is here. Many of these actions are being challenged in court. Yeah. Policies have been net negative for the economy. The effects will likely be subtle, showing up as a steady drip of slower growth and higher rates that are hard to detect at the moment. A more acute crisis, if one come, might show up years or decades in the future, much too late to hold Trump accountable. Yeah, I believe that. We know from historical experience that the sort of things he's doing are antithetical to prosperity in the long run. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. But it is also interesting to make this argument that it'll take a very, very long time to actually say anything about that. Can I read the full text exchange? I didn't really want to. Is there more? No, it's just those 2 screenshots. Dear Donald, on the contact across the Atlantic, on Greenland, Gaza, Ukraine, and your tariff announcement yesterday, you know our position on these issues, but we believe we should all work to take this down and de-escalate. So much is happening around us where we need to stand together. We're proposing a call with you later today, with both of us or separately. Give us a hint of what you prefer. And Trump's reply, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace. This is so wild, honestly. Denmark cannot protect the land from Russia or China. Why do they have the right of ownership? There are no written documents. Boat landed there hundreds of years ago. But we had boats landing there also. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding, and now NATO should have to do something for the United States. The world is not secure until we have completed total control of Greenland. Yeah. A lot of this is chaos theory, you know. Just how Trump tries to get them to tremble in their boots. Greenland is preparing for an invasion. Oh, what do we have here? The military is being forced to plan for an unthinkable betrayal. The United States. Blah, blah, blah. Colleagues. I don't want to keep reading The Atlantic then. U.S. invasion of Greenland would mean war with NATO itself. Death knell for NATO. That's Trump lost his mind. Where is this? I mean, it's 8 minutes ago. It's just not on other pages yet, but this is behind a paywall. Greenland leader tells people to prepare for possible invasion. It's not likely there will be a military conflict, but it can't be ruled out. Wow. All right, what else are we doing here? So we've got... Well, we got volatility, but certainly on an uptrend. The 100-minute moving average right now is holding everything up. Look at that. There's a trade for you. 100-minute moving average. Let's see if you hold that by the close. Okay, what else? Somebody says he is such a child. Somebody else is saying red cats. All right. Let's look at the journal. Trump doubles down on Greenland. Yeah, this is what everybody's focused on right now. And then there's some more Epstein stuff. Let's do what Zero Hedge is saying. Japan options. JP Morgan desk thinks Greenland standoff ends in a bullish negotiated arrangement. I actually agree with that. I agree with this. Greenland must be taken. VIX goes violent. Investors still treat protection likely like it's for suckers. Right. Yeah, you're not seeing a lot of hedging in the market. I mean, what's the CNN greed and fear? Still neutral. Oh, we were at greed a week ago, but not by much. We were like barely in greed. 59. Stock price strength is at extreme greed. Puts and call options. Oh, well, this is at extreme fear, though. That's crazy. People are picking up the puts. Safe haven demand, extreme fear. No, fear, rather. And extreme greed on junk bond demand. Huh. Your input on gold, silver? Well, I think they're both due for a big correction, but I think that gold will probably hit 5,000 first, and then silver will hit $100. I've been talking about that for weeks now, and eventually they will tank. Yeah, because it does seem to be right before every recession we've ever seen, you have a surge in gold, or some form of safe havens, right? But the sell-off in bonds is very interesting, leading to this widening spread again. So, capital wars could follow Trump's action. That's the dumping treasuries argument, right? So, Ray Dalio, yeah, see, dollars and treasuries might be less willing to finance U.S. deficits if trust erodes. Yeah, he's not wrong. I mean, like, why buy the U.S. one if you could go buy the Japanese one? Capital wars. Capital wars. You can't ignore the possibility of a capital war. May not be the inclination to buy U.S. debt. Yeah. I think he's right. I think that's a really big short-term issue because it just drives up the cost of borrowing in the short term, and it's going to suck. I mean, I guess it could even, for the longer term, drive up the cost of borrowing. History offers multiple examples. They don't want to hold each other's debt. They prefer to go to a hard currency like gold. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with this. Francis Macron, we are shifting to a world without rules. Yeah. Yeah, the 10-year treasury yield is up, but the price of the bonds tanked. That's what they're saying in the story. Natural gas prices soar as a cold snap blasts across the U.S. Where is this cold snap? Oh, this is like the Northeast, right? Because I'm pretty sure I've seen like no snow on the East, or sorry, on the West Coast. Like Utah, you go to like Park City, Utah weather. Like, where's the snow right now? Because it ain't in Park City. How about, let's try Aspen, Colorado. I got nothing, dude. How about Truckee? Like, where am I supposed to go skiing? Dude, come on, man. Where's the snow? I mean, I think Vermont is where it is. But no, I don't even have snow over here. So it's like, where are you supposed to go skiing? Nothing in Whistler either. There's no snow. There's no snow. Memphis is supposed to get a foot of snow. There's no skiing in Memphis. Greenland has snow, yes. But does Greenland have skiing? That's actually not, I don't see snow either. There's no snow. Quebec, I see no snow. No snow. Japan, let's go to like Mount Fuji. I'll just say Tokyo. No snow. There's no snow. Lake Michigan, but you guys are too flat. Whiteface Mountain, New York. Whiteface Mountain, New York. Oh, you guys are cold. Yeah, you guys have a little bit going. This is cold, man. That's frigid over where you are. Wow, okay. Russia has tons of snow? Yeah, that's it. We'll go there. Toronto? Is Toronto snowing? Toronto's always snowy around this time. Nope. No snow either. Maybe the end of the week. There's no snow. I'm convinced there's no snow. No snow. What's Kamchatka? Oh, Russia. Yeah. All right. All right, well, that's all I got for today. So I go make some work, business, email work, house hack work. Yeah, join the Alpha Report at meetkevin.com. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, folks.
Kevin, somebody would consider. Kevin.